on moving forward in a positive way. Let me just tell you about negotiating. At the end, that's when you really have to weigh in. You cannot tire. You cannot concede. This is the fun.
$2 trillion, depending on whether tax cuts are included in that number. The White House declined to say whether Senator Kyrsten Sinema has shared a similar outline of her exact terms. And while the honeymoon period for President Biden has long been over, this first year is usually seen as the last hope for passing large pieces of legislation before the midterms become a referendum on the presidency. Press Secretary Jen Psaki fielding multiple questions today of why the administration needs to pass these packages now and acknowledge the deadline is self-imposed.
The president knows from his time in public office that timelines can help make progress. That's often how legislating happens on the Hill.
That's the whole pie, which is why I'm like, if you're going to do that, then let's just get rid of the filibuster overall, and so we can fix all these other things right away, which we should do. Because I promise you, the minute Mitch McConnell's in charge, he's going to do it. So we will have wasted our 2 years to govern, to help people, to make a difference, because we didn't want to do the thing that Mitch is going to go do.
That is what's wrong with Washington, D.C. We don't put the needs of the American people first. We put some other agenda and nothing ever happens. This is a kind of textbook case of why the American people are frustrated with Washington, D.C.
I heard one journalist refer to this as it's Bernie Sanders' world now, and we just live in it. If true, that's not bad for a guy who lost the Democratic presidential nomination to a moderate Joe Biden. But it does say something about the times now, certainly for the Democratic Party and its priorities going forward.
I don't know if it's Bernie Sanders' world because the tax and spend extravaganza, the 3.5 to 5.5 trillion bill has not passed. We hope it. But if you mean that people are willing to hold hostage a piece of legislation that would make the life of the average American much better with better jobs, and they hold it hostage either because they want to oppose it because one side puts it up and they don't, or they want to hold it hostage to get another agenda forward. I'm not sure that's just Bernie. That seems to be a lot of people, but it's wrong for the American people. By the way, Hurricane Ida just hit there may be people who just now are getting their electricity turned back on. We have money in that bill, in the infrastructure bill, to harden the grid. Whether it's winter storms in Texas or the Northeast, whether it's a hurricane on the Gulf Coast or a forest fire on the West, we can harden the grid, make it safer.
Now, started this month, many of you will be eligible to claim a new extra payment from the IRS. Everybody, the number of Americans applying for unemployment benefits rose for the third straight week, and this is a sign that a crisis may be slowing a recovery in the job market. The Labor Department said that claims rose unexpectedly by 11,000 last week to 362,000, though economists had been expecting claims to go in the opposite direction. The 4-week moving average rose for the first time in 7 weeks to 340,000. Since topping 900,000 in early January, applications had fallen fairly steadily as the economy bounced back from last year's shutdown. The applications, which are a proxy for layoffs, remained elevated before the crisis hit the United States hard in March 2020. There were typically around 220,000 a week. American employers have rapidly increased their hiring since they slashed 22 million jobs in March and April of 2020, and the shutdowns meant to contain it brought economic activity to a near standstill. Since then, the economy has recovered about 17 million jobs as businesses to open or expand hours and Americans to return to jobs. Hiring, which has averaged more than 585,000 jobs a month this year, slowed to just 235,000 in August. Although 2.8 million Americans were receiving some type of jobs aid the week of September 18th, many people are still unemployed. What are your thoughts on this, everybody? Should the additional $300 weekly benefits still be continued? Now, key details of the expanded child tax credit may change in the coming weeks, as congressional Democrats continue to debate their 2022 budget proposal, including whether or not the lowest income families will receive. This year, the child tax credit was increased from $2,000 per child to $3,000 or $3,600, depending on the age of the dependent. Now, half of it was made advanceable, and more families than ever qualify as President Biden and the Democrats extended it to families earning little to no income. But as the party looks to extend the changes to the years to come, Moderator Joe Manchin wants to reinstate a work requirement in order for families to receive the credit. This year, the credit was made fully refundable, meaning families that earned little or no income still qualified to receive it, which was not the case before. Before this year, the credit phased in with income, meaning the poorest families did not receive the full amount. Families needed to earn at least $2,500 to get anything, and then receive a credit of 15 cents for each dollar earned above that. Kicking the requirement is expected to help lift more than 4 million children out of poverty if made permanent, leading to a 40% reduction in child poverty. So while Biden has not enacted wide-scale student loan cancellation, there is hope for student loan borrowers to get student loan forgiveness through borrower defense, and that's through a student loan repayment. Since becoming president, Biden has now canceled nearly $10 billion of student loans. This includes $1.5 billion of student loan cancellation for 92,000 student loan borrowers under the borrower to repayment rule. In July, Biden canceled $55.6 million of student loan for 1,800 student loan borrowers. So that's all the news we have for you guys in this video. So that's all the news I have for you, everybody, in this video. If you found this useful and helpful, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends and family. Until next time, everybody, have a great day.
Analysis by the Census Bureau found that after the first payments in July, food insecurity among families with children dropped 24%. As for state, local, tribal, and territorial governments decimated their budgets. There were mass layoffs, and to end the health and economic emergencies, we knew that communities would need funding to hire educators to bring kids back to school, for example, or frontline workers to administer the American Rescue Plan included $350 billion to that end. And those dollars are indeed helping the machinery of local governments get up and running. States and localities can rely on relief money that's available instead of resorting to painful budget cuts. Congress rightly designed the state and local program with flexibility in mind. I think many of us knew the recovery could run up against some unforeseen challenges, and we wanted communities to be able to devote resources where and when they saw fit. I want to note that this flexibility is paying off now, especially with the spread of the Delta variant. Harris County, Texas, for instance, has used this funding to boost its rate, offering $100 to each person who gets their first dose. For the relief dollars not yet out the door, Treasury is doing everything it can to expedite their delivery. The Emergency Rental Assistance Program